Love to Hate, the podcast that asks the question, what do you love to hate?
You are a smelly pirate hooker.
Movies, television, music, books, nerd things, current events.
And I hate your ass face!
Do you love it?
No! No! Hell no! No!
Do you hate it?
Whoa! Oh yeah! Oh yes! Yes! You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard!
I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
No more foreplay.
Love to Hate starts now. This is Brandon Luna,
I'm Philip Pullman.
and this is Love to Hate.
The show that talks about things you love to hate
Yeah,
or hate to love.
and today's topic, sequels.
There you go. Who doesn't love sequels?
I don't love sequels.
Most of the times they suck.
Most of the times they are garbage.
Actually, most of the times the books is better, but...
Well, do books get sequels? Occasionally.
yeah, actually, one I just... Right, what is the guy's name? Last name is... I forget how you pronounce it.
You're doing great.
K-U-H-N, Kuhn. Shane Kuhn. And he
Okay.
did one called the Intern's Handbook. Brilliant concept. Basically, it's a company of hitmen, and they have the idea of the perfect hitmen are interns.
Okay.
Nobody pays attention to them. You have access to every level of the company, but nobody can tell you what you look like, who the guy was. You disappear. Nobody thinks about it because you're an intern, and they all age out at about 25. Because if you're a 26-year-old intern, people are like,
Yeah.
And then he did a sequel to it called Hostile Takeover, which kind of followed the what happened after the events of book one. But great series. I would recommend that
I'll have to look for it. Yeah.
for anybody. And of course, being our show, anybody listening is going to be highly literate.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they wouldn't listen to us.
You say so.
Well,
you
yeah.
say so.
I like to think.
I'd like to think that, yeah.
I really hate to think there's some guy in an Affliction shirt sitting
Right.
in the back of his truck with a Confederate flag and a 40 back there going, I like what these guys have to say. I'm really hoping that's not our target demo.
His buddy's driving with an Obey shirt. And one of those faux hawks smoking on a
A
vape.
faux hawk is an inability to commit.
Exactly.
That's what it is. Fucking shave your head or don't.
Exactly.
But it is an inability to commit.
It is, totally.
So, what were we talking about?
Sequels.
Oh!
Yeah.
If there have been any come out recently within the last week you might want to talk about?
Yeah, there is. But I gotta, say a little bit about that, though. So I think there's a difference between sequels and a series. So when you get into something like James Bond movies, that's a series of movies. I don't necessarily think those are sequels.
But yet that's how they're referred, or what they're referred to as.
Really?
I thought they were.
I don't know. I mean,
Is it if it has enough? Okay, the Rocky series
Yeah.
is
Those
series
are
or
sequels.
sequels?
Those are sequels. I think, technically. You had Rocky 2,
Because
Rocky
you're following
3,
the
Rocky
same
4.
storyline, and in Bond you don't have a linear storyline that you're
Exactly.
telling out over an extended period
Yeah,
of time.
and typically with the Bond movies, now it's changed a little bit with the whole Daniel Craig stuff, but
Yeah.
there was not a running storyline that you had to watch each movie to kind of continue to know what's going on.
True.
It was always kind of a little, each movie was like its little pocket story, and that was kind of it. So I think there's a difference between a series of films and a sequel, per se. Like, I think Harry Potter is a series of films.
Okay.
Now, there is still a linear story with the whole Voldemort thing, but that's based on a book series, not a book sequel series. I don't know. That makes sense?
Yeah, kind of like serialized television
Yeah.
versus, a series like Breaking Bad.
I think when you look at sequels, a prime example of a sequel, Die Hard was a standalone movie. It should have been one film, and that's it. When you get the sequel, which was Die Hard 2, with the stupidest title ever, Die Harder, it was basically Die Hard 1, the exact same script, transplanted to a new location. So they basically took the same story, same
airport.
characters, put it in an airport. That was a true sequel
But did you enjoy the movie?
and a piece of crap. I hated Die Hard 2.
Did you really?
I did not like Die Hard 2.
Did you like Die Hard 3?
I liked Die Hard 3.
See, and I thought 2 was better than 3.
But see, the reason I didn't like 2 was because I thought it suffered from what I like to call sequelitis, where it's
It was
like
the
they took
exact same.
a lot of the same elements from the first movie, stuck them in the second movie because you have to see the fat cop again because he's his buddy, even though it really doesn't play into the movie at
Yeah.
all. You have to see these characters that you loved in the first one in sort of the same situation because it's familiar and you like it, but it doesn't necessarily make it a good movie. So I think
Fair.
there's very few really good sequels. I could probably name 5 that I thought were very well-made sequels, and I think they work because they're different enough that they almost work as a series more than a sequel. Like
Okay.
Aliens is a completely different movie than Alien. It is a direct sequel, but it has a completely different story. Basically, totally different kind of field. Alien was a sci-fi horror film. Aliens was a sci-fi action film. I think that works as a very well-made sequel. Whereas you look at something like I said, Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 2, and Die Hard 3 technically was not even a Die Hard script. It was originally supposed to be the second Rapid Fire script for Brandon Lee after he did The Crow. Rapid Fire was a movie he did before The Crow, but it kind of failed, and then The Crow came out. It was a big hit. They were going to make another Rapid Fire movie with him. He died. They turned it into Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Huh.
Yeah.
I think it worked better as Die Hard.
I think it did too.
I'm just trying to picture it. The Stars actually had the Rocky 1 through 4 that they played this weekend, and I actually DVR'd them, and I sat last night and went through them. Good stuff. Still enjoyable. Interesting that by the time you get to 4, to look back at 1,
Oh, yeah.
the fight scene and just how he kind of evolved. And then you just think of the horrible Rocky 5. It's like, man, if they could have gone from Rocky 4 and then just fast forwarded to Rocky Balboa, which I enjoyed. I thought Rocky Balboa was a good story. And really, in this day and age, not that implausible.
Yeah.
There's stuff like that goes on. Creed was fantastic.
Yeah, Creed was awesome.
But just the heart that was in that first movie, and you're just looking at this guy. It's like, how do you not love this character
Yeah.
in this movie? And his chops in acting, like when he's yelling at Mickey down the stairs, it's like, dude, why did you do Judge Dredd? You need to find
Right.
You need to
Right.
find more stories like this because you can act.
He can. And it took until Creed and a couple
Yes.
other movies like Copland for people to realize that.
Copland, he was great in Copland.
Yeah. If you want a deeper conversation of the Rocky series, listen to Cigars and Cinema. Randy Rankin, who's my other podcast friend, we did a whole episode on the Rocky anthology, so you can go there and listen to that.
Weakest one in the Rocky series?
For me, it was probably Rocky 5.
Yeah,
the one with
I
the street
would-
fight and stuff.
with Tommy Gunn.
Yeah. And then
Yeah, I would
I didn't
agree.
like Rocky 2 either because it also suffered from sequelitis. It was kind of the same story. It's just basically let's get to where he wins. And that was it.
Kind of, but I think it was kind of interesting from the standpoint of what happens when you give this lummox money.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden, he's just not even thinking. All he knows is, I've got all this money. Adrian, let me buy you this. And dude, you're going through your cash. Now you're going back to contemplating breaking legs because you've spent this cash you don't have.
Yeah.
And how many guys does that happen to in professional sports where it's like, those endorsements dried up quickly?
O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, he had years to get endorsements, and then
Yeah.
things just went horribly wrong. I don't know.
Cautionary tale, though, with O.J. I mean,
Yeah.
even if he hadn't
Look, kids, if you win the
maybe
Heisman Trophy,
possibly murdered his wife.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
hold like he did.
Yeah. But then he's trying to buy back his memorabilia. And I mean, come on. I mean, that's pretty low. You got to admit.
That would be like Richard Nixon not getting impeached, not leaving the White House, and then doing 50 years for a speeding ticket. It's just, oh, look who's here.
Right.
Payback's a bitch. I think Rocky IV, guilty pleasure, not great. Too many, and that had multiple montages.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But I just love the whole idea of like it's us versus them.
Yeah.
Until he gets to the stupid speech at the end. Let's
Yeah.
all just get along. Like, oh man, you ruined it.
Yeah.
I just
I
kinda
love
like
Rocky
that.
3 because Rocky 3 was the ultimate popcorn movie. That's when it became
It-
entertainment for entertainment's sake.
Yeah,
It was the summer
and
blockbuster.
but it still kind of had that Rocky story to it, and that Rocky feel. It wasn't a glam film like Rocky IV was.
Yeah, true.
I
It
felt
wasn't MTV like Rocky 4 was.
Correct.
MTV was very, very influential
Yeah, because
in
that was
Rocky 4.
85, I think. I want to say
After Top Gun, the whole quick cut thing.
Yeah,
and,
I thought three was by far the better out of those two,
yeah, for sure. I agree.
and it gave the world Mr. T.
Yeah. Where would
Prediction
we
for
be
the
with
fight?
that?
Pain.
Pain.
Up here
Yeah,
before.
I love this story about, and we mentioned this in the other podcast too. His mother, I think Randy told this story. His mother went with him to the screening and didn't like the way he was treating women, so she walked out
when
of the
he,
screening.
hey woman,
Yeah. Wow.
how about you come back and get a real man? told you better than that. Like,
Exactly.
Mom, it's a
It's a movie. It's a character I'm playing.
I'm not really that guy. I really didn't. Didn't do all of this.
Exactly.
Apparently, during Rocky IV, Dolph Lundgren and Carl Weathers didn't get along at all.
Yeah.
And Carl actually quit the film.
Yep. They had to
because
get
they
him
had
back.
like a real fight.
Yep. Interesting stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you haven't seen Carl Weathers pop up in an Expendables movie, so
Oh, that's true. Oh, and
got-
he would have been ideal.
you got Wesley Snipes instead. So yeah.
Well, but you got him on Arrested Development.
Yeah.
So
Another sequel that I thought the first Expendables was fun. Second, third one, not so much. They got really bad.
rehashed.
Real fast.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen any of those.
Oh, you're missing out, man. You got to see the first one at least. At
Yeah.
least see the first one. Other sequels that are crap. Come on.
Any of the Jaws sequels,
Yes.
I think would be.
Those are not. That's not a series of movies. It's
No,
a
it's
crappy
that's a
sequel.
cash
Yeah,
grab.
exactly.
Having not seen the first one, I'm going to say all of the Transformer movies are crap.
Yeah, they are.
I just saw the word Michael Bay, and I automatically
Yeah.
just thought, no, I really don't want to see that.
I will have to admit that I do like the Bad Boys movies. I don't know why, but I thought
I don't
the
know.
second one was
I think
highly
there was some of
entertaining.
the dialogue between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence was
yeah.
kind of clever.
Yeah. But again, Michael Bay is one of these guys that will character the crap out of a movie and extend it by an hour because he has all these little pocket characters that don't really move the story along, but they're fun and entertaining. So they're in the movie, and then they wind up popping up in the second one too, and the third one as well.
What about the Police Academy series? How do you feel about that?
Man,
I don't think I saw any of them besides the first one.
I loved the first one, and they just got progressively worse.
I don't even remember
I thought the first
much
Scream
about that.
was a good movie, and I thought after that they got progressively
Police
worse.
Academy
as well.
to give us Michael Winslow.
It did, yeah,
So
and that was pretty much all he did. But
yes,
did some stand-up comedy, I guess. But good sequels. I have a couple that I think are good sequels. Star Trek
right.
2, great sequel. But that's
Arguably-
also considered a series. Yeah.
but arguably better than the first one.
Well, yeah, definitely better than the first one. The first one was directed by Robert Wise, who did a lot of musicals, and it was very much a, hey, look, we have money, and this is what Star Trek looks like with money. Here's a long 30-minute shot of the ship coming out of the docking bay. It's really unnecessary and doesn't move the story along, but doesn't it look
Yeah.
cool? You know, and that's really what that movie was. It was just one big special effect with almost no story. And the second one, you get back into the original series with bringing characters back, and it felt more like a Star Trek movie, and arguably the best Star Trek movie of all, I think.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Godfather 2.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
That,
good sequel.
That I would say was a fantastic, sweet sequel, and you could argue better than the original.
And you can argue that's a series, though, because it was based on books written by Mario Puzo.
Yeah,
Now, was Godfather 1 and 2 two separate books, or was it one book and they
It was
just
two
chopped
separate
it into...
books.
Okay.
I believe it was two separate books.
Okay.
I think
And then the third one was just an abomination of...
there was a third one.
Yeah, it was awful.
No,
You saw the third one. Don't lie. It was awful.
I've seen 2 Godfather movies, 3 Indiana Jones, and 4 Star Wars movies. That's
Yeah. Another one where the sequels... I arguably, a lot of people think Empire Strikes Back is better than Star Wars.
true. Much.
Yeah.
I don't know. It wasn't.
Definitely got more
Had a
into
different
the,
feel to it.
Definitely
Felt
got
like
more
the
into
same-
the opera kind
yeah,
of thing. You
yeah.
know, it was more of a space opera like he was wanting it to be.
Right.
I think the first one was just kind of a popcorn movie that just happened to make a lot of money, and then the second one you got into the story about
the characters of it.
Yeah.
Because, well, and I think it was, hey, there's desire out there to see more of these characters. I don't think it was meant to be a trilogy.
I don't think that I don't think the story is what he said it was. I don't think he had the whole thing mapped out.
Either.
He didn't have the prequel stuff. Come on, Lucas, don't lie to us. You know that there was Star Wars and that was it. And
Well,
then the rest
there
of it
was a book
just
called
made up.
Splinter of the Mind's Eye that came out that was designed to be the sequel.
Yeah,
And in
Great
it,
book, by the way.
Luke
Yeah.
and aren't Luke and Leia dating in that book?
yeah,
So clearly,
yeah, yeah.
kind of came up with that late. So, what about what Marvel does? They have the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay.
Sequels, they call them sequels, but is it a series? Does it continue down the road and tell a story?
It does, but they do it a little bit different than anybody else does, and DC definitely needs to take a page from them because they've taken these little pocket stories. You have the Thor movie, you have the Iron Man movies, you have the other ones that they've kind of thrown out there, and they all are interconnecting eventually, and they all led to the Avengers, and then it led into the Captain America series. So
It's like a really long Robert Altman film.
exactly, yeah, it's more of a series, but We could also argue that Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 were lesser sequels than Iron Man 1.
Yeah, Iron Man 2 felt like a setup.
Yeah, it did.
We're just trying to get you into the other one. The third one, we were talking about that off mic earlier. Just kind of how disappointing that was.
Yeah, especially given the people involved. You had Shane Black, who's a really good screenplay writer, has directed a good movie with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and then he gets Iron Man 3 and it just kind of implodes on himself. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I didn't enjoy that one.
Yeah. And Favreau, surprisingly, very good director, knows how to handle special effects, and has done mostly good movies. I mean, I can't think of many that he has made that I haven't been very much a fan of. Besides,
did you see Jungle Book?
I liked Jungle Book a lot.
Okay.
I actually was very impressed with that. About the only ones of his that I didn't like were probably Made. I thought was with him and Vince Vaughn.
Yeah. To me, that almost seemed like people were clamoring to see the two of them together again.
Yeah, correct.
Didn't really work though.
And I liked his little pocket movie he did, Chef. I thought that was a
Chef was great.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Not a sequel to anything, but it was just a good from him as a director and
a great
writer.
Story.
Yeah. And there's not enough of that out there. Yeah.
No.
But that's unfortunately why sequels tend to fall flat, is that there's not enough story to really get into a sequel.
It's a cash grab.
It is a cash grab, yeah. And there's a lot of those.
So you've seen Captain America Civil War.
Yes.
Cash grab, or was there a story to go with it?
There was definitely a story to go with it. And that's why I think DC is failing, because they don't have enough story to push these movies along. Now, they do in the canon of the comics and everything, but they're not pulling from there. They're making up their own crap, and it doesn't make sense.
Well, I think they tried to throw too much story into Batman Superman, because you're covering, by the way, spoilers, the death of Superman. You're covering The Dark Knight Returns. And it was just a crap film on top of all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
They really don't know what they're doing. To me, it strikes as very desperate. We're trying to catch up to Marvel. Ooh, look what they did.
Correct, yeah.
And so now we're going to try to catch up to them, which is pretty sad. I saw Captain America as well, and I thought it was great. I didn't think it was better than Winter Soldier, but unlike Superman, Batman, I didn't sit there just rolling my eyes going, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
The whole reason they were actually manipulated into a fight, again, spoilers, by Zemo, but completely plausible as to how he worked them into that fight. So that worked from a story standpoint. There was really nothing in there that didn't work for me from a story standpoint. The Spider-Man thing, it seemed like it kind of a quick detour, but it wasn't too long.
Yeah.
The oddest thing, and they talk about this in the movie, which is kind of meta, Marissa Tomei is too hot to be Aunt May.
Yeah.
There's just no way. You just look at her and it's like, there's no way she's that kid's Aunt. I mean, she's old enough.
Yeah.
But she's like, no.
She almost seems like she's there for Iron Man to eventually nail and or have a relationship with.
Well, because what was it? One chances are, but he and Marissa Tomei did some 90s romance film together.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
I don't remember the name of it.
I don't either, but it was bad.
Yeah. What was Chances Are? Was that the one where he comes back from the dead and he's
Yeah,
trying to
with,
go out with Reese
Sybil
Witherspoon?
Shepherd or-
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Was Reese Witherspoon he fell in love with? I don't remember.
I don't know. But
I've
yeah,
always
it was-
wanted Reese Witherspoon to play the Joker.
What?
Look at her chin.
Yeah,
Look at that
okay.
chin.
I get it,
has
I get
the
it, yeah.
She has the shape of it.
She definitely does.
But no, I was a fan. The cameo. Again, I was trying to tell you about it without spoilers before you saw it. The not really a cameo, but you have Ant-Man in there, and then he becomes Giant Man. I thought that was one of the best scenes in the movie.
Correct.
Like,
yeah.
well, I tried this once, and then all of a sudden, just like, that's awesome. That looks completely awesome. And everybody's reaction, like, oh crap!
Yeah. Spider-Man reaction was awesome.
Just like, oh shit!
Yeah.
Well, and one of the things I liked, and it was again this great little character dynamic. 5 seconds of screen time, but and it showed more of a bond than you got throughout all of Batman Superman. But when Steve Rogers says to Spider-Man, as he's trying to hold up this jetway, he's like, "I like you." He goes, "You're a pretty tough kid. Where are you from?" Queens. He's like, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
It's like, see a kid. And it was kind of like they bonded as they're like these two tough New York kids.
Exactly, yeah.
So that worked for me.
And again, what Marvel's doing right that DC's not doing.
They've developed characters.
They've got well-written humor for these characters.
Yes.
Everybody gets to do a little bit of something funny. There's really nobody in that film. If you look at the new Civil War, everybody's got some one-liners. Maybe I think the only one that doesn't is probably Black Widow. She's pretty serious through the whole thing.
No, she does, because when she's fighting Hawkeye.
That's right.
And she says,
yeah.
"Are we still going to be friends?"
Yeah, they had it. Yeah, and Hawkeye had some good ones. He had some zingers too.
I just loved his whole introduction into the film.
Yeah.
When he walks in on Scarlet Witch, what are you doing here? Well, I'm disappointing my kids. Supposed to be out water skiing, but no. It's just like this whole nonsense. Like even the way he walks in, just like I'm not even supposed to be here. Don't know what's going on.
Total Dante it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not even supposed to be here today. Yeah.
And then he ends it, you watch him at the end of the film like, oh, he's going to be in a shitload of trouble when he gets
Exactly,
home.
yeah.
Where you been?
How long has he been in that prison?
Well, and I thought Paul Rudd's introduction was fantastic when he's just, tells him, we'll be fugitive, like, so what's new?
Yeah, exactly.
And
I loved it later when Iron Man, Tony Stark didn't know who he was. Like, who are you again? He's like, oh, come on, man.
Well, and Sam Wilson had Falcon had some great lines.
He really did.
He's like, hey, when he calls Ant-Man Tic Tac.
Yeah.
And then when he's fighting Spider-Man, he goes, have you done this before? There's usually not this much talking.
Yep.
And I mean, we're sitting here chuckling about it now, but a serious movie.
Yeah. Very dark. I mean, it was
but you're still laughing and you still care about the characters. Just as serious as Batman Superman, but not so just like Jesus.
Yeah.
And it is horrible. And it felt like a world you live in.
Exactly.
As opposed to the other one where it's like, who lives here? This doesn't take place on my Earth.
Yeah.
But hell, DC's got 52 of them, so I guess they got plenty to screw up.
Yeah.
But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure on a second viewing, I could sit there and pick apart little things and CGI stuff. We talked about that some. Where it's like, okay, that looks kind of goofy.
Iffy, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm so involved in the story and like the characters, I don't care.
Yeah.
Whereas in Batman Superman, I can't even tell what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know what Doomsday's doing. It's just an explosion. Took me out of the story. This was like, didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see what happened with these people.
And while I didn't necessarily like Falcon's cameo in Ant-Man, I thought it was probably sort of necessary to keep you remembering that character because he was only in one of the movie. He didn't have a very big role. You stick him in this as just like a little pocket scene, and it's entertaining. It worked. Mm-hmm. Didn't necessarily need to be there, but It reminds you of who he is. So when you see him in the next movie, like, oh, okay, that guy.
Did you like the introduction of Red Wing?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah,
that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah,
I like that. I don't think they introduced Black Panther.
Yeah.
Which was well done the way they worked him in because that was not ham-handed.
Yeah.
Spider-Man a little bit ham-handed trying to work him in. Very natural to get Black Panther into the story.
Exactly.
So then they brought back General Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Because who doesn't love to hate John Hurt?
Exactly. He's a douche. He plays douche well. He plays douche very well. Even in movies where he's not supposed to be a douche, like Dark City, I still think he's a douche.
Well, and apparently there's some actors who agree with you. Just, having to try to work with him.
Yeah.
That they don't like him. So does this make you feel good about Spider-Man coming out?
I don't know. I do because it's Marvel and they have it now, and I think they're going to do a better job with it than anybody else has done before. My daughter and I talked about this, and my wife and I talked about it too, about the Spider-Man movies. I loved the first Spider-Man movie, not necessarily because of Tobey Maguire. I don't think he was the right choice for the role. I thought he was a little old, but I thought he did well with it. And I love the director. I love Sam Raimi. And it wasn't a typical Sam Raimi movie. He didn't do his Sam Raimi crazy camera stuff like he did on Quick and the Dead, which was totally inappropriate. But I thought it worked. Second one, fantastic. I loved it. I loved the second one. I thought it was a great movie. And then
a bit better than the first?
Better than the first,
sequel
I thought.
Or series?
I think that's a sequel.
Okay.
And then the third one, crap. The third one it fell into the same trap that all of these superhero movies fall into. up until now, I think, where they just get too many characters involved, too many bad guys, and you lose focus on the overall central story.
Is that the advantage Marvel has of not having to... Because Spider-Man 3, although a Marvel property, film rights owned by Sony, do they have that advantage of, hey, we can sprinkle in a few characters here, we can throw Falcon into this movie because we're going to have him over in this other film, whereas with Spider-Man 3, they're like, well, this is the last one, so we're going to throw in everything in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
Because they have no place else to tell this story, so it ends up overdone, like I thought the last Nolan Batman was.
Yeah,
I thought there was just too much going on, too many villains.
Yep.
Not a bad film, but it didn't resonate like the first two did.
I thought so too. It just had too much focus on the other characters. It ran into the same thing that they ran into with the Michael Keaton ones, where I loved the first Batman. I thought the second one was good, but there was too many bad guys, too much focus on the bad guys, not enough focus on Batman, which is the reason he left the series, because he's like, hey, it's not about Batman anymore. It's about Penguin. It's about Catwoman. It's about, Max Schreck. It's about everybody else but Batman. And you run into that over and over and over again, and Marvel handles it better than anybody else, I think, in these new films. They're able to do it. I mean, look at the first Avengers. There could have been 8 million bad guys in that. There really was Loki, and there was a underlying bad guy beyond that, but they didn't focus enough on it for you to really focus on that. It wasn't like the central. It was all about Loki, really, and that's what it was. So it made sense. Now the second one, there are some issues with that. I didn't think Age of Ultron was as good. I just thought it got too heavy-handed on the special effects, too reliant on that, too many action sequences. Right off the bat, the first sequence I hated in Age of Ultron. That 360, it was just
CGI
like a
thing.
CGI mess.
What was your favorite part of Ultron?
I liked James Spader as Ultron. I thought he brought something to the character. I liked his interpretation of it. I really loved the Vision. I love that they brought the Vision into it. That was awesome. That was a total.
But
nerd
as far as
moment for
just
me.
a scene in the movie,
I don't know that I have a favorite scene. Do you have a favorite scene in?
I think of the scene with them trying to lift Thor's hammer.
Oh yeah,
because and what do you have? No action, but you have the characters, and you're watching their dynamic, and just some of the small acting, like when Steve Rogers goes to lift the hammer and it budges. Just
yeah.
Thor's look.
Yeah.
Helmsworth doesn't say anything, but it's just kind of this look that flashes over his face, like,
oh crap. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not overacting at all, and it's just body language.
Yeah.
Which is why I think you can't look at your damn phone while you're watching a movie. People are like, oh, I can hear what's going on. It's like, no, you just missed that look. That look tells you so much. We broke that down in a class I did on the original 12 Angry Men.
Okay.
If you try to watch that movie...
See, and 13 Angry Men, not as good.
No, it wasn't. And then 14 was just god-awful.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's like, why is Tony Randall in this?
I know. Jerry Lewis, what the hell is Jerry Lewis doing in this?
That wasn't, sorry. I will never do that again. But
so 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, no, there's a scene in there with Jack Klugman, and it's all body language. Nothing is said. So if you're listening to the movie and looking at your phone or your iPad, you're completely going to miss when this character changes his opinion, because it's all physical and it's very subtle. And it's almost just like a turning of the body towards somebody else to say, I was with you. Now I'm not. I'm offended. And I'm just going to kind of turn this way a little bit. And it's subtle. And you can really learn a lot about how to read people's body language.
Yeah.
But it's a study in that. And again, I think that's the beauty of what film does, because you can't do that necessarily in a book without describing it. But because of the visual, you can just sit there and pick up on these little cues. And it's like, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And you got to sit there and just engage in the film. And sometimes you have to just let go and not worry about, well, nothing's happening. Like, you know what? Stuff's happening. It's a setup, or it's a mood. And I don't think people respect the mood. The beginning of Midnight in Paris.
Yeah.
Somebody was telling me, oh, the intro was too long. It's like, no. Woody's getting you in the mindset of you're in Paris. Here's the music. Here's the scenery.
Yeah.
You're in a theater or a dark room, just forget everything else and just give into it.
Yeah, it's like Manhattan. It's like the beginning
Yes.
scene of Manhattan. It's the same thing. I mean, he's basically doing that for Paris like he did in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And if you understand that, then it makes sense. But you got a whole generation of kids that are watching movies now that expect quick cuts and snap. You know, it's like it's got to be fast. It's got to be. And I'm surprised that this hasn't happened yet. And I'm surprised no one's done it. I'm sure it's on the internet. It's probably on YouTube. But I'm surprised people haven't taken older films. You can even go back to Top Gun. Even that's not even an older film, but you could probably re-edit Top Gun and make it a more fast-paced Michael Bay-ish kind of movie, because there is a lot of talking.
Who was that? That was Bruckheimer and
That
Don
was Bruckheimer
Simpson?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were kind of the start of that quick cut MTV
Yeah.
thing. But even then, you watch that movie now, and it feels kind of slow compared to what movies are nowadays. You know, because we don't have time to set up a mood nowadays, unless it's a drama or even some drama comedies that take time to do that. Thrillers take time to do that. But for the most part,
And those are going to skew to an older demographic.
yeah, exactly. They'll take the time. You could argue. I put on Lawrence of Arabia for my 17-year-old daughter, and she was fidgeting so much in the first sequence with the desert and the music. She's like, "When is something going to happen?" I'm like, "Just let it wash over you. You got to, just take it in."
Yeah.
This is a
Well, same with a movie like The Great Escape.
yeah.
Or what was the other? The Magnificent Seven.
Mm-hmm.
There are periods in there where nothing happens, but it's like, no, watch this. It all sets up for this payoff,
Yep.
and you're learning the dynamic of the characters. It's called telling a story.
Right.
It's almost like everybody wants to cut to just the end chapter,
Yeah. Exactly.
and that doesn't work. Which is sad.
Very.
I don't know.
Very when Harry Met Sally. Read the last page first.
What if I die first?
Exactly.
Another great movie.
Yeah. And again, a lot of long shots, a lot of dialogue, not a lot of movement of the camera. It's just all dialogue based and a great screenplay.
I'm a huge fan of dialogue, which is why I'm a Kevin Smith fan. Well, up until some of the last, it was. To me, his best film dialogue wise, I'm gonna go Chasing Amy over Clerks,
Yeah.
just because of that long monologue that's delivered by Ben Affleck, where he's confessing his love for Joey Lauren Adams.
Yeah.
It's just this long where I think a lot of guys could watch it and say, "Yeah, I'd probably say something equally as stupid and just ramble on."
Yeah,
And,
and even just the sequence where they're playing darts in the friggin' bar is one long take, all dialogue, doesn't move the camera. And Kevin Smith's talked about it. He's like, I'm a lazy filmmaker. I don't have but it's not what it is. It's you're letting the dialogue play out. You're letting those characters do their thing. You're letting those actors do their thing.
And I think a lot of us watch that and walk away going, "God, I wish I had friends that clever."
Mhm.
Why can't I meet somebody like that? And one of my favorite films with dialogue, a series of films, I would say, not sequels, maybe. The Thin Man series with Robert Powell and Myrna Loy.
Yeah, yeah,
The dialogue in there was so sharp.
yeah.
I think a lot of older films had better dialogue.
Well, because they didn't have special effects. They didn't have other things to rely on. It was all about, most of those, if you watch older films, they're kind of played out like plays almost. It's like the camera stays in one place. You have your scene, you got the next scene.
Well, and I think that's why they talk about the overacting is why are they being so hammy? And it's because the cameras and the microphones couldn't pick up
yeah,
the subtlety of it. It was like a play where you're just booming
yeah,
out to the audience so that they can pick it up.
yeah. Philadelphia Stories were my favorite all-time movies.
That is my number one, actually.
And it's pretty big. I mean, the actors go pretty big in that movie.
They do.
But it works.
Oh, C.K. Dexter Heaven. Yeah. Jimmy Stewart drunk is just fantastic.
It's awesome, yeah. Awesome. Katharine Hepburn drunk's pretty darn good, too.
Just from the beginning, you hate her Weasley fiance. Just right. I don't like him. He's just set up to be the Weasel.
Okay, cash grab sequel that I thought wasn't good, and this is an older film, Father's Little Dividend. I like Father of the Bride.
Okay.
I didn't think Father's Little Dividend was as good. It felt like a cash grab. It's like, let's get these characters back. People liked them. Let's put all these characters that were in the first one in the second one, too. And it didn't work. I think Hollywood still did it back then, but they didn't do it as much. They kind of learned. And then you got like the Dashiell Hammett stuff, all the Maltese Falcon, all that stuff. Those were more of a series. They didn't feel necessarily like sequels to me.
No, I would agree with you on that.
So,
they were more series related.
Yeah.
I had just thought of one, and now I can't think of it.
Yeah. Back to the Future 2, another example of a movie that was basically a setup for the third one. It felt like basically a giant rehash of the first
Yeah,
movie.
we've talked about this.
Yeah.
That I
And
like the
Cigars in
first
Cinema.
one
Yeah.
because I was in high school. It was the thing to do. I've never gotten the Michael J. Fox love, but I enjoy them, but more from a retro standpoint. The same reason that when Wang Chung comes on the radio, I'm kind of like, oh, cool, it's Wang Chung, because it's like, man, I was 16, I had my driver's license.
Right.
It
You're
was
having
just
fun tonight.
yeah,
You're Wang Chungin'.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if I break it down, I'm like, this is a fantastic song in the pantheon. I mean, probably not, but it brought back a time. Back to the Future is the same way.
Yeah.
And for me, the biggest one that feels that way to me is Say Anything. I still love it.
Oh, yeah.
And to
Great
me,
movie.
that's almost become like Catcher in the Rye, because the older I get, the more I look at Lloyd differently. I'm like, dude, you're being an idiot.
Yeah.
But at the time, it's like, yeah, man, follow her to London. And then as an adult, you realize 3 weeks after they got there, she realized it was a huge mistake. He had to go back.
Right.
He tried to get into kickboxing. It didn't work. I mean, you can just see. But at the time, you're young and you got all your hopes and dreams and you're not cynical.
Yeah.
So it was great. But I still just enjoy him as a character
Yep.
in that movie. So again, just related to my age.
Unnecessary sequel that I thought was horrible. Arthur 2 on the Rocks.
Wow, yeah.
What a depressing sequel.
And it didn't even
Because-
need a reboot
No.
or a remake.
No, they made the remake. Yeah.
Yeah,
but it
that's
was-
what I'm saying, because that was what, Russell Brand?
Yeah.
He really shouldn't be in anything.
No, he really shouldn't. No.
I don't get
I liked him and Get Him to the Greek, but that was just because he was, I thought that movie was pretty funny. I thought dialogue was good, and there's some really good funny sequences in it. But for the most part, yeah, he doesn't need to act. He could just do the stand-up comedy and be good.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any other sequels that...
Any of the Friday the 13th sequels. I mean, I think
Okay,
that
you and I just had this talk a couple
Yeah.
of weekends ago. I've only caught bits and pieces
yeah,
of Friday the 13th because I'll just be
same thing with the
flipping
Halloween
through.
stuff. So
Now, I did watch the original Halloween all the way through,
Yeah,
and I enjoyed that. But it was more suspense than horror.
yeah, exactly.
It wasn't gross out gore, and I kind of felt like Friday the 13th, all of those, it was kind of more gore films.
Yeah, they're more slasher gore.
Yeah, but it, which isn't a bad thing. It just doesn't happen to be my genre.
Yeah,
I kind of, when it comes to me for horror films, I kind of look at stuff like Silence of the Lambs, where it kind of gets in your head.
Now, do you
Or-
consider that a series or are those sequels? Because those got out of hand fast.
Well, yeah. The books are a series of, well, not really. The first book, Red Dragon, which I thought was the best of the series,
Yeah, definitely.
was not, that had Hannibal Lecter in it.
But he wasn't the
But
central
he was
focus.
not. He
Yeah.
was nowhere near as big as he was in the movie Red Dragon.
Mhm.
In Manhunter, that was about the right amount of Hannibal Lecter as was in the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hannibal. I guess Hannibal came out
Yeah, it was.
right at as far as the movies go. That was, even the book to me was weak.
Yeah, it
the
was.
book to me felt like, hey, you know what? People love Lecter. We'll give them more Lecter.
Yeah. But what they did to Starling in the book was like, really? I mean, it just.
I have an opinion on that because I remember the big pseudo controversy about we can't show that, they've got to change the film.
Yeah.
They have to change the film because the ending of the book is so startling, nobody will get into it. So the part they change in the film is the romance. They leave the brain eating part.
Yeah.
Because audiences can handle that.
Yeah.
But if it's like, wait, she and Hannibal run off together, audiences would be up in arms. So it's like,
Right.
that's the part you edited out. Not the fact that they're sitting here eating a man's brain and she's chowing down,
Yeah.
but the fact that she goes off with Lecter.
Yeah.
That's what you didn't think people could handle. I just thought that was stupid.
I love Ray Liotta's line. It's not very good, buddy. But yeah, crap sequel, and everyone after that was bad. And I really, I
Red
like
Dragon was a fair movie,
Yeah.
nowhere near as good as the book.
probably.
Manhunter felt more true to the character, although Red Dragon had better actors.
Yeah, Red Dragon is a better Brett Ratner movie than it should be, because he did. I think the best movie he's ever done probably was Rush Hour 1. And
Wait,
then
did
after
he
that,
he did
he did Red Dragon.
I didn't know that Bryan Singer dropped out of that.
Yeah,
Isn't that what he does? He's
Yeah,
like
he just-
Bryan Singer's
exactly, yeah.
Remora.
yeah. But no, that was a Brett Ratner movie, and it didn't feel like a Brett Ratner movie. I almost think the second unit director probably directed most of that movie, and he was just sitting there going, "Yeah, okay, cool, guys."
Yeah, we got all the main stars on second unit today.
Yeah.
It's
What are we eating? That was pretty much what Brett Ratner was doing on that.
well, and it had Ed Norton in it, who I don't know. He was all right, but William
Peterson.
yeah, he was actually pretty good in that.
And see, I remember that was one of the. I was reading books a lot at that time, and I remember that movie came out, and I saw the poster, and I looked at it, and I went, like, is that, what is that? And I saw it on the poster that it was based on, Thomas Harris's Red Dragon. I'm like, oh, shit, I got to see that. And I was pretty let down by the movie because it was very much a Miami Vice MTV kind of thing.
That I think is what has hurt the movie more than anything is it's very dated.
It is very dated. But I thought it was still, I thought Hannibal Lecter in it was very good. I liked the way that, I can't think of the actor's name now.
Brian Cox?
Brian Cox, yeah. I thought Brian Cox's interpretation was spot on with what was in the book. But in the book, it is a very dark cell. It's not this bright white,
Right.
MTV kind of cell that doesn't exist in reality. But I also thought that William Peterson was too young for the role. I mean, they grayed his hair out and everything, but looking, hindsight's 2020, he was great in that role comparatively.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things. Bad sequels.
There are a number of them.
There's a lot of them, man.
I could bring up Lethal Weapon, but I don't even watch those anymore.
Those got progressively worse as they went on.
Well, I was going someplace else, but okay. Yeah, no more Mel Gibson for me.
Yeah, he's not a friend of Dorothy. Wait a minute, that's the wrong analogy.
Yeah, no, he's a little bit anti-Semitic.
There you go.
Kind of like, you know what? I used to like watching. I loved the original Lethal Weapon. I thought it was great. Now it's kind of like, you know what? I don't know if you're making any cash off of this or not, but I really just don't want to look at you now. I used to when I was that age. When that first came out, I wanted that mullet. I wanted that.
Right.
That hair that he had, but now I'm like, no. Now you're kind of a prick, aren't you?
Yeah. Pretty much.
But it was a well done film, and
Yeah.
then the sequels got progressively worse, and then it became this, hey, we're all family, and I think the fourth one ends with like a giant group photo of all of them,
Yeah.
and
Just
Richard
awful.
Donner's in the photo. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
what? Seriously?
Let's just take us completely out of the movie and just.
Well, you've got
yeah.
Chris Rock in it, and it's like, okay, he's there for comedic purposes,
Totally. Yeah.
and really, Chris Rock's not a cop. I'm never going to believe him in a role as a cop.
No.
That's not going to happen. So the third one with Rene Russo,
Yep.
it didn't work.
Nope, it didn't.
So that didn't work. God, what was it? Oh, Stakeout and Another Stakeout.
You go, come on now.
I didn't even like Stakeout.
Loaded Weapon and Loaded Weapon 2. To go with the sequel.
I just remember watching, or I didn't watch it, but I remember looking at the box office and going, Armand Asante is in this? Armand Asante? Why is he not working in a better film?
Right. Well, he did Judge Dredd, so he needed something,
God,
I
I
guess.
guess.
He played his brother in that.
Oh, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Back
there's a
to
lot of bad
Stallone's son.
sequels out there.
There are.
Stallone's made a lot of bad sequels. Rambo 2, arguably not. I mean, a lot of people love Rambo First Blood Part 2, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Rambo. And I thought it was a piece of crap, but it was all America, rah, rah, yay, let's go get the Vietnam vets. But if you look at First Blood, again, a lot like Rocky, was more of a drama, had a good story, you cared about the characters.
Based on a novel.
Based on a novel, yeah. Should have ended with him killing himself. They filmed it, but they didn't release that. It's on the DVD/Blu-ray as an extra scene. But they said, well, we can't kill this guy. There's sequel possibilities here. And they just got progressively worse. Now, Rambo 4, I guess, actually came back and had a good story to tell.
The
and I thought
Grindhouse
it was-
one?
Yeah, I thought it was better than the other two sequels.
Do you know with
but-
Rocky Balboa on the disc they put both endings? So you
Oh,
can
yeah?
Yeah, so you can decide how you want to watch it. If you want to watch
Really?
it, watch him lose or watch him Rocky win.
Huh.
And that would be interesting to watch just from the standpoint I'd like to see how they shot it when he won.
Yeah.
It'd just be kind of cool to see.
Interesting. I thought it definitely was better the way they left it, though.
I did too. It was
More
more
realistic,
realistic, and he was
yeah.
kind of like, "Hey, I got it out of my system.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have nothing to prove." Because to him, you go back to those first few films, and he even talks about it in Rocky 3. It doesn't matter if you win; it's real.
Yeah.
And to him, it was not about did I beat Apollo, did I lose, did I go out and do my best. That's all that matters, and that's what he did in Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
So, I Yeah, I enjoyed that one, and I look forward. No, there's no more. Well, I'm sure there'll be a Creed 2.
Oh yeah.
But I'm excited to see, hesitantly or reservedly, what Marvel does after this Captain America movie.
Yeah.
I think they have the same writer director.
Infinity War. Yeah.
And I think it's the Russo brothers.
Yeah.
But they did a good job handling all those characters, because it really was Avengers 2.5.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Just didn't have Thor or Hulk. And their reason for that was a little, come on, guys. But I guess I get it. I felt
Thor wasn't in the comic book version of Civil War. Well, Stark made a robot Thor for the book. But again, it does kind of sway the balance of power.
Yeah, totally.
It's like if Hulk's on your side, it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do now? So I thought from a story standpoint, it kind of worked, because nobody had the nuclear option. Plus, you're already juggling a hell of a lot of characters.
Yeah.
And they did a good job working them in. And that's why I felt confident when Whedon doing the Avengers, because from Firefly, even Buffy, Angel, he did a good job with an ensemble cast.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And I thought they did that with Civil War.
So, new Star Trek. Second one, not so great.
No. And
the third one looks like garbage.
Yeah, the trailer for it just didn't work for me. And it had nothing to do with the Beasties music. It was just, this is going to be a bunch of quick cuts in action, isn't it?
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's going to be.
So we've abandoned all story.
Yeah. And I really liked the first Star Trek reboot, because I thought they did a good job with bringing those characters back, and you feel like they're lived in. You feel like you know them. The casting was great. I mean, I didn't expect Carl Urban to be a good Bones. I was like, Carl Urban is Bones? But he nailed that part. I mean, he was awesome in it.
To me, he was the best character in the movie.
Yeah.
As far as just the casting went.
Yeah.
Now, there's a something I had read about talks with Netflix about him in a Dredd series.
For Netflix?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Because Dredd was fantastic.
Dredd was great. And it didn't get the right promotions. It didn't do anything, really.
No.
But I think it's become a cult classic. A lot of people love it now, and they talk about it. The ratings were real high on it. It just didn't do the box office that it should have done.
Nobody knows the character, and they're probably associating it with Stallone's movie. Well, in one of the reviews was even, he didn't even take his helmet off the whole time. It's like, no, he didn't. He's not supposed to.
That's the character. Yeah, that is the character.
People don't understand that. And to some extent, I think that might be why you have some people react the way they do to Batman, Superman, because their understanding of the character is from the comic books, and these aren't the characters as they're portrayed in the comic books.
Correct.
So people who don't keep up with the storylines are like, who are they? And then guys like me who are older, it's like, you know what, that doesn't really work. I'm not into the dark Superman thing. And I think DC's even gotten away from that now.
Okay, here's a total cash grab sequel.
All right.
Speed 2, Cruise Control.
Oh, God. Jason Patrick. Jason Patrick is the movie version of Wayne Rogers. When you can't get back the original star, you put Jason Patrick in.
Yeah.
You did the same with Wayne Rogers on television.
Yeah.
But I hate to admit, I liked Speed.
I love Speed. Yeah, Speed
if it's
was
on,
great.
I will watch it. It's like, okay, this is a guilty pleasure.
It's a guilty pleasure, and it's fun. There's good dialogue in it. The characters are great. You care about them. You like Jeff Daniels. He's the funny guy. And
yeah.
I thought everything's good about Speed. And it was.
What about U.S. Marshals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cash grab sequel. Yeah. Another one that's just bad.
Did not work.
The Hangover movies. They needed one. It was a good movie. It didn't need two sequels. The second one was awful, and the third one was I don't even think I made it through the third one. It was that bad. Another big giant cash grab. Blues Brothers 2000.
Oh.
Why the hell did you make a Blues Brothers sequel? Why did that have to happen?
They had bills to pay?
I guess.
I don't know. Dan Aykroyd's probably done well from his SNL and his residuals on stuff, but...
Yep. Another bad sequel. You ready?
Yeah.
You probably never even seen this one. Exorcist 2: The Heretic.
No,
all
I
the
haven't.
Exorcist movies. So the first one's great.
Yeah.
Stands on its own as a horror
then
classic. Everything after that was just garbage. Same thing with the Omen movies. You can do that with the Omen movies as well.
Oh, yeah, you don't
really need those
Well, and
sequels.
then they rebooted it.
Yep.
Didn't need that. I still have not watched the reboot, nor will I, of The Manchurian Candidate.
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't need a reboot. And the same with Ocean's 11. And Ocean's 11 is not a great Sinatra film.
No, it's not.
It's more so just watch these guys hang out.
But you know what?
But
I liked the reboot because it took a movie and turned it into a watchable movie. And I think if they're going to do reboots, let's do it with that. Let's not take classics that we love and reboot them because it's never going to live up to what it was. Let's take crappy movies that maybe had a good story or something that we can work with and reboot that.
You know, the reboot of Ben-Hur is coming out soon.
I saw that.
And even and Magnificent Seven.
Yeah, I saw that
and
too.
I saw the trailer for it, and it's like, that sucks. And Denzel Washington's in it. And when you think about it, it's like, hey, Denzel Washington, Western, this could be cool. And it's like, no.
Yep. Another big cash grab sequel. And this one was one of those underground movies that was the only reason there was a sequel was because of the video. Highlander 2. And what a way to destroy a series.
Yeah. By the way, everything
Highlander
we told you in the first movie
is
completely wrong.
Yeah. Complete. They're from outer space, and there's a bunch of them.
Yeah. Everything we told you before, just
hey, look,
Sean
Michael
Connery
Ironside's
didn't
a bad
know what
guy.
he was talking about.
Yeah.
There you go.
So
Here's a
bad.
cash grab sequel.
Go for it.
Came out years after Clerks 2.
Clerks 2. I was going to mention that when we were talking about our friend there.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith. Total cash grab sequel.
Yeah.
And did not in any way, shape, or form have the same feel as the first one.
It didn't. I wanted it to, but it just didn't. And by the way, we're not actually friends with Kevin Smith, but if he for some reason listens and you'd like to be friends with us,
we'd definitely be friends with you.
Yeah.
I'd smoke
in spite
weed
of
with
what we just said about Clerks 2.
I don't do that, but I would with you because, hey.
And we could, you know what? And you and I have talked about this. He's not as funny since he started smoking pot.
No,
so,
definitely not. Definitely not.
Kevin, even though they're like he's listening, even though they're cracking down on cigars, Brandon and I can hook you up. You can be our cigar smoking buddy. That would work. You want me? I'm going to keep talking while you light that cigar.
No,
do that. Would you?
Caddyshack 2.
Yeah,
Horrible sequel.
Yeah.
Horrible sequel. Did not need to be made.
It didn't.
And probably the worst sequel / prequel of all time.
We talking about Star Wars?
We are talking about Star Wars.
Oh God, that was.
You still gonna never admit that existed?
Oh my God, I don't want to admit it existed. There was so much wrong with that. The dialogue, the fact that it didn't even. If you want to light your cigar now, that's fine because I'm going to be going off for 20 minutes on this.
Okay.
No, it didn't even feel like the same universe. It didn't feel like, even though this character had the name of Obi-Wan Kenobi, it didn't feel like, oh, he's going to become this Alec Guinness character. It didn't feel like these were the parents of Luke and Leia. Nothing about it felt like the same universe.
Yeah, for sure.
It was just in name only. And I think it revealed a lot of George Lucas's weaknesses, and it showed where Lawrence Kasdan was able to come in and really kind of change things up. And I think it shows the difference between somebody who's a plotter and somebody who's a scripter or the story writer. Because you and I can come up with a plot and then, okay, sit down and actually write out the story, tell it, and come up with dialogue. It's like, no, it's just a movie about this guy who goes and does this thing. It's like, that's fantastic. Write it. Then you've got to give it to somebody who's able to do that and take your idea and tell a story with it.
Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. I mean, the first Bill and Ted ended with the ultimate ending. Everything's great, and we wrote this song, and we're going to be hits. And the second one, you got all this self-doubt, and they don't know
what gets me is that there was really anybody clamoring for a part 2. Like, you know what? We think we can make some money off of that.
What about Airplane 2, the sequel?
Okay. All right. Oh my God, the sun. What is it? It's a giant fireball at the center of the Earth's solar system, but that's not important right now. It resonates with me because, as a kid, you just watch it.
I actually enjoyed those, and I enjoyed the Naked Gun ones, even though they got progressively sillier and just really stupid. I thought those were still pretty fun movies.
They were.
Yeah, I liked them. They were funny enough that I would watch them again.
My favorite line from Police Squad, that Naked Gun was based on, was, what's his rap sheet say? Married, 1 child, didn't work out, so he divorced her and married an adult. And it's just the way it's delivered. If you're not paying attention, you won't know that was a joke.
Yeah,
you gotta be listening.
One of the ones that's highly touted as one of the worst sequels ever, too, is Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I thought the first one was a good movie. It had a lot going for it. It doesn't hold up special effects wise. Still kind of a cool story, but the second one went in a different direction. People didn't like it, and they came back with the third one and did a good job. I thought.
Was that Dream Warriors?
Dream Warriors, yeah. It was
Don
cool.
Dokken soundtrack.
Oh yeah, yeah. You gotta love that.
That's what I remember.
That's what you remember.
Well, because it was on like Headbangers Ball or something. Wait, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Dream Warriors from Don Dokken was on Headbangers Ball. What does that tell you about what was heavy back then?
Now, one of the worst sequels also, I'd put this out there, is Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Has nothing to do with the Halloween movies. Shouldn't have been called Halloween at all. Didn't have Mike Myers in it. What the hell were they thinking with that sequel? Just
Blair Witch Project 2.
Yeah, awful. Book of the Dead or whatever the hell that was called. That was a crap sequel. One of the best sequels, which is actually more of a remake of the first one, Evil Dead Part 2, and then Army of Darkness. All three of those are really fun. I thought the Mission Impossible movies, the second one was not as good.
I was out after the first one.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Once you turn Jim Phelps into the bad guy, I'm out. You've just shit on the franchise. I watched those shows as a kid. It's like, wait, now he's the bad guy? I'm out.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched any of the other ones.
No, they got pretty good near the end there.
Plus,
The
again,
last
not a
couple were
Tom
pretty
Cruise
good.
fan. So
Yeah. What do you think about Lost World, Jurassic Park 2?
God, did I see that?
It was crappy.
I
know that was a cash grab
I don't
sequel.
even remember.
That was such a cash grab sequel that they started making it before the author had finished the book. And they're actually totally different. The screenplay that he kind of wrote a skeleton outline for, once they started making the movie, he's like, you know what? Don't really like that. I'm going to go in a different direction. So the book is totally different and actually better. If they had waited for him to finish the book, probably be a better movie. But it just didn't work out that way. So, yeah. A lot of bad sequels out there. Gremlins 2, I thought was still pretty fun. I could consider that a decent sequel. Still pretty dark, and I like that director.
What about the Indiana Jones stuff? Series or sequel? I'd say it's a series.
I'd say it's a series, yeah. But, once they get past the third one, they're making another one. Are you even excited for that at all?
No, I don't care because I don't know. An older Han Solo I can kind of see, but an older Indiana Jones kind of like, not really.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Here's a sequel that came well after the original, and I didn't like the sequel, but I liked the book of the sequel that it was based on. Color of Money.
Ah.
Another Tom Cruise one.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, The Hustler was fantastic.
yeah, The Hustler's great.
But
Classic.
yeah, Paul Newman and Tom Cruise. Boy, talk about just stacking it up. So it's like this guy can act. Well, are you the one who doesn't like Newman, or is that Randy?
No, we both love Newman. Yeah, Newman's
Okay.
great. Yeah, the one we don't like is Tom Cruise. I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan.
I thought somebody said they didn't care for. Oh, it's Robert Redford. You guys don't like?
Nah, Robert Redford's not a great actor.
No. But he pairs well with Paul Newman.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
He's good in that.
They
but,
play well off of each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, The Hustler was good. Color Money,
yeah.
Wait, who did the soundtrack to that? It was Eric Clapton
Mm-hmm.
did the main song for that. And when I was watching Rocky IV,
It's in
I'm
the
listening
way
to
that you use it. Yeah.
we probably shouldn't sing either.
No.
There was a song came on. It was kind of like the love song in Rocky IV. I'm like, wait, I know this because I own the cassette. Google it. And it was Gladys Knight and Kenny Loggins. I'm like, holy shit! All of his songs in the '80s were movie soundtracks.
Right.
That's all it was.
Yep. He whored himself out pretty good there.
He
And
did.
Caddyshack on.
Yeah, Caddyshack, Top Gun.
Yeah.
Apparently Rocky IV.
Yeah.
What else was there? I think Footloose.
Yeah, big one.
But you can't knock that.
Didn't want to reboot Footloose. They didn't need to do that.
That was
Did you watch it?
no.
Oh,
I heard
God.
the Blake Shelton version
I saw
of
it.
that, and it was like that. That sucks.
Yeah, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful. So we can throw remakes in the mix here too, I guess. Huh?
Yeah. I love the original Footloose again, probably because of my age. But also I like the idea of he's rebelling, don't tell us what to do. He strikes me as the type of guy who, if the FDA told him we're going to go after premium cigars, that he'd be like, no, you're not. And he would stand up and dance about it.
Exactly.
Which none of us who we know who are in the cigar industry should do. But, yeah, he strikes me as that type of character, that type of spirit where it's like, no, we won't be denied. And then, they go have the dance, and nobody got pregnant. A couple of guys got beat up.
Yeah.
Deservedly so.
Karate Kid. Should have been one movie. They got horrible after the first one.
Apparently they just picked up all their music
from Rocky
from
movies.
Rocky
Yeah.
because it's like Stallone didn't like. He went with Eye of the Tiger instead of
the
whatever
Lonely
the song,
Heart or whatever.
No. Whatever the
Survivor
song was in. But he instead of the one for Rock that they used in Karate Kid.
Yeah. Oh, you're the best.
Yes.
Around. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that sucks.
Yeah.
Eye of the Tiger's kind of cool, but you're the best. So he went with that. And then he also turned down Glory of Love from Peter Cetera.
Which wound up being used in the second one.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. Oh, another horrible sequel that didn't need to be made. Not that the first one was a great movie. It was one of these movies that's iconic at the time, but you watch it now and it does not hold up. Saturday Night Fever did not need Staying Alive.
Okay, I'll tell you. I did not like Saturday Night Fever.
I didn't either.
Because I'm looking at it and it's like none of this appeals to me. They're wearing polyester and bell bottoms and it's disco.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care.
Yeah.
All of those things suck.
Yeah. Grease 2.
Gave us Adrian Zemed.
Yeah. And Michelle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, you can't argue with that.
Yeah.
I've only seen parts of Grease.
Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I would
worst
argue
sequel ever.
I would argue that it should have been made just because of the name.
Well, yeah, I think every.
What
bad
about
sequel,
House Party 2? The Kid and Play.
The Kid and Play. I think what Hollywood needs to do is just every movie that comes out, if it doesn't test well for a sequel, just call it Electric Boogaloo and add that to Hangover 2, Electric Boogaloo. Friday the 13th Part 2,
Justice
Electric Boogaloo.
League.
Yeah,
Electric Boogaloo.
Right. Just add that to it. And you already know coming in, this movie's going to suck, but we're going to have a good time.
That wouldn't be a bad idea. I could go for that.
Yeah, that'd be
Sure,
great.
why not?
You already know. Just riff track it before it even comes out. We'll watch the riff track.
Oh, yeah, that would be.
Have you ever seen one of those?
Yeah, they're harder to watch because you've got to sync up to the video.
Well, they do it in the theaters now. They do the Phantom shows where they do it. And it's the same guys from Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah,
3000,
before, it was the second group.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Nelson in the second series. The first group of guys who did like season 1 went on and did Cinematic Titanic, which was fantastic. I got to see them live here in Dallas. It was awesome.
Cool.
And there is no better feeling than being in a group, just this theater of people as they're doing this live show. And you hear yourself laugh, and you realize you're the only guy laughing. And so afterwards, it was, I want to say it was Treese Ballou who was Dr. Forrester. I said, man, I love that joke. And he goes, were you the one who laughed? He goes, I think we're going to have to scratch that. And I'm like, no, keep it. That was a fantastic joke. He's like, don't know how many people actually, you're the only one. But, now they're doing the new cast and everything.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. About that.
That would be, I guess that's why Cinematic Titanic quit doing it. But
I tried to explain to my daughter what that was. She's like, what is Mystery Science Theater? What is Rift? I don't understand what it is.
Oh my!
I'm like, it's stoner TV basically. It's it's
my mom hated it.
It's
She's
what
like,
you and your friends do when you're making fun of movies. Yeah.
Thing that I have ever seen. I can't believe you watched this. And I'm like, no, this is hilarious. I'm like, the writing on this is fantastic because it's observational. They don't care if everybody gets the joke or a few people get the joke. They're just doing it. But like you said, it's what you and your friends do. I had a buddy and we used to sit around and we'd drink beer and we would. It wasn't necessarily like what they did, but we would turn the sound down. It was Cinemax was doing like this whole series on like the Snake Eater movies and just like this Lorenzo Lamas series.
You did the same thing I did, yeah.
Yeah, and we would just turn the volume down and we would just
make up your own dialogue.
Yeah, and then we would do bets on who gets topless first, the gorgeous woman or Lorenzo Lamas, and it was like always Lorenzo Lamas. Like first person to lose their shirt, it's Lamas.
Snake Eater 1, solid. Snake Eater 2, not so good.
People ask me if I own those films, and I'll tell you now, I'm waiting till the DVD or to the Blu-ray box set comes out on that because
It'll be all of them on one. There'll be like 4 sequels you didn't know about. Wow, there's 6 of these.
It might have been the original Mega Shark or whatever, the one where the shark jumps out over the bridge and grabs the plane in the air.
Yeah.
And there's a line of dialogue in there where they're talking about somehow the government did this. And so Lorenzo Lamas is on a boat with Debbie Gibson. She's a military
stellar cast, yeah.
Yeah, she's a Navy commander or something. And his line of she says something about being pissed off, and he goes, "Yeah, well, I'm pissed off at all the leaders of the free world." I was like, somebody needs to like say that out loud as you're writing it,
Right.
Because that really doesn't work as dialogue. That is just horrible.
Yeah, it was probably an ad lib, and they're like, "No, keep it. It works. Keep it. It works."
I don't know, but this Lamas guy, man, he just keeps throwing them out there.
It's gold. It's gold. This is going to be a hit. No, so we used to do that with my friends, but we would watch old kung fu movies, turn the sound down, and just do our own dubs of basically kung fu movies. And I actually got to the point where I would record it. We'd set up, VCR, and I'd plug in my audio equipment, and we'd sit there and just dub these like kung fu
Do
movies.
any of these still exist?
I would have to see if I can find them. Yeah,
I think
But
I have
there's
some of
there's
my old
gold,
TV
man.
stuff on VHS.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'll go through and watch it, and I'm just like, oh my God.
And that's why I
That
loved
is so,
Kung
I've
Pao.
only showed it to like 2 people.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, nobody else is
Kung
seeing
Pao
this.
Into the Fist was like my jam when it came out. I'm like, oh, that's what I did. when was a
I
kid.
remember that, and somebody told me, they're like, you need to watch that. I'm
It
like,
is
what?
hilarious.
It was actually.
It's so stupid, but it's funny. I mean, it's just
Well, it fits what those movies were,
Mm-hmm.
where it's just, okay, this is so just stupid, but,
Yeah.
it worked.
we did it with Star Wars back in the day too.
Oh, wow.
I turned Darth Vader into Eddie Murphy as a pimp, and he was always basically his line was. Everybody, he's like, "Oh, just grease him up and send him back to my room." So he said that with Leia and a couple other people throughout the movie.
Beverly Hills Cop 2
Bad sequel,
and Beverly Hills Cop 3.
worst sequel, did not need to exist at all. It was so bad.
Another 48 hours.
I thought that was okay, but still not great. I liked 48 Hours a lot. I thought it was a good movie. That was, Eddie Murphy in his heyday between Beverly Hills Cop and that. That was his 2 best movies.
Back when he was funny.
Yeah, back when he was funny. And then there's certain ones of his movies that I still like. I still liked, what the crap was
Dr.
that one?
Dolittle?
No, nor the sequel. The one he did with Richard Pryor, Harlem Nights.
Okay.
I thought it actually had some good moments in it, but overall was a bad movie. But I liked seeing them on screen together.
Did you
I
see him
thought
in
that was
Metro?
cool. I didn't like Metro. So Metro, I heard that was supposed to be a serious movie, and it didn't test well at all. So they went back and filmed a bunch of comedy bits to kind of make it a comedy, which you can tell they seem very tacked on. So I don't know. I still don't find him convincing in drama. I didn't think he should have been up for an Oscar for whatever that one was, Glamour Girls, or what the hell was that movie?
Oh, yeah, I guess it was.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Dreamgirls.
Dreamgirls, there you go. Yeah. I was like, come on. Come on, guys.
I'm with you. And now he's not funny.
Yeah. What do you think about Independence Day 2? You think that's going to be any good?
I didn't like the first one.
Well, there you go.
Again, Michael Bay, just things will blow up.
That was Roland Emmerich. He was the other guy that made things blow up.
There was a Roland Emmerich?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did one good movie. I liked Stargate. I thought Stargate was cool.
Okay.
That was the one.
I
good
remember
Roland
Bill
Emmerich movie.
Pullman as the president, just like, oh, kill me now.
Right.
I'm not a Bill Pullman fan.
I always see him as the idiot in Ruthless People.
Yeah.
The dyed hair and the roots showing. That's the Bill Pullman that I know.
That's who, and he kind of just sticks like that. I don't know. It was very much a popcorn movie.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't know. And Randy Quaid annoyed the hell out of me in that movie.
He annoys the hell out of me and everything except for Christmas Vacation. I thought he was funny. And another one, European Vacation. Not a good sequel. Christmas Vacation was better. I think that's really kind of the best of the vacation
Did
movies
I like
to me.
European Vacation?
No.
No, I don't think. No. Vacation
Yeah.
I love. But
Fletch 2 didn't need to happen.
no, Fletch 2 was bad. Some funny lines, but just, really didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
One of these days I'm going to actually read Fletch.
Yeah, I'd like to read Fletch 2.
But I think it's, from what I understand, much different than the
I would
movie.
imagine so, yeah. I would
But
imagine so.
that is one of the to me, that's one of the most quotable movies
Oh, yeah.
around. I just,
Yeah. Chevy Chase in his heyday, man, between Caddyshack and Fletch and even
Vacation.
Foul Play.
Yeah.
Vacation.
I will, and occasionally I will throw out the phrase, I'm like, ball bearings. It's all ball bearings these days. They're just like, God. Very quotable.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
How long did we go on this?
We're an hour and 9 minutes.
Wow.
We went long.
We did. We've been trying to keep these shorter so that you guys will listen longer, but hopefully we've been entertaining enough that you've stuck with us for the full hour. And, you can send us your I guess, requests. If there's a topic you want to hear us rant about or tell you why we love it, why we hate it, or something like that, you can tweet us at
love, the number 2, hate podcast. Or you can get us on the Gmail at love to hate podcast, all one word, not the number 2, TO, love to hate podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, and we'll take suggestions. We're not too proud.
Yep. We'll do it.
Yeah, and then we'll just rant on whatever topics you'd like to hear us rant on. And plus, we like feedback.
Definitely like the feedback, yeah.
So
We'll see you next time.
All right, take care, kids.